Hello and welcome to this recording from Support Cambridgeshire, a partnership of Cambridge CVS and Hunts Forum. This is one of several recordings we've developed to support small charities. To accompany the recording, there are guidance links available at the end of the transcript, which will provide you with any materials or links we mention. In this recording, we'll cover the basics you need in place before you apply, your case for support evidencing the need for what you do, different types of funding, identifying the right funders to support your organisation, planning your budget, creating a funding plan, and demonstrating value. Most funders will be expecting you to have some basics in place. It's how funders reassure themselves that you as an organisation are set up to do a good job managing any funds awarded. The basics will usually include being an eligible organisation for that funder, having a committee with at least 2 unrelated people and a governing document which outlines how you are run, including how many trustee or committee members you need to make decisions, and a wind-up clause to show what would happen to the funds in the event of your organisation closing. You'll also need a bank account in the name of the group that requires at least 2 unrelated people to sign off on each transaction, although if the group is new or set up to deliver a single project, the funder may agree to your funds being hosted by another voluntary group. You'll also need a copy of your latest set of accounts, or if the funder will accept applications from a new group, you will need to create a budget for projected income and expenditure. Funders may also ask to see key policies and procedures, such as those covering health and safety, safeguarding, equality, diversity and inclusion, data protection, financial controls, and risk management. Most funders receive far more applications than they can possibly fund, so they have to make a choice, and this is partly based on how strong a case you make. Can you clearly explain the need you are set up to address? For example, what barriers prevent your beneficiaries from accessing the support or care they need? Who are you making a difference to, and how have you involved them in developing your ideas? How are you qualified to deliver this work, and how will you work alongside other relevant organisations? What evidence do you have that your approach is the right one? There are links to sources of evidence you might find useful in the guidance links at the end of this transcript. Some funders will fund a wide range of different sorts of expenditure, but others may be very specific, so it's worth being clear what it is you're looking for. Could it be startup costs to give you some seed funding to get started, or maybe to fund a pilot project before looking for ways to scale up your ideas? Maybe core costs that contribute to the overall running of your organisation, capital costs for a building or to purchase a high-value item, or project or revenue costs to help you deliver a specific project. Are you looking for costs to help you continue with an existing project, or to help you extend a project, or develop a completely new project? It is worth being aware that most funders will not fund a project or purchase you've already started, so you'll need to factor in funders' decision times in your planning. There isn't just one place to look for funders. A good starting point is the Support Cambridgeshire funding portal, which you can find on our website. You can search funds relevant for groups in Cambridgeshire for free. You can also join our mailing list and receive regular funding alerts. It's also good to see which funders fund other organisations in your area, or organisations delivering similar sorts of projects elsewhere. Information about these funders will be in an organisation's annual accounts, which are easily available if they're a charity on the Charity Commission website. You are probably aware of other funding directories. Free ones include Charities Excellence and Induct Grantway, which are national rather than locally focused. We also have a spreadsheet of smaller funds called the Invisible Grant Makers, which we can access for member organisations. We run a fundraisers network to share information and offer support. We also arrange events to bring funders and those looking for funds together to offer guidance and support. Some smaller trusts and foundations may be quite general in what they say they will consider funding. However, larger foundations, lotteries and statutory funders will have funding priorities which they will outline in their guidelines. To stand a chance of being successful, applicants will need to demonstrate that what they do fits with the funder's priorities. Funders may also specify the type of funding they'll offer. For example, they may only fund capital costs or project costs for new beneficiary groups. They may have other eligibility criteria such as specific locations, or they may specify specific groups of beneficiaries. Many of the larger funders for larger grant pots have put in place two-stage application processes. At the first stage, they are looking to check your project meets their criteria, and for some funders, this can be achieved by submitting something other than a form, such as a simple video. If a funder decides your project is something they might realistically fund, they may then invite you to develop stage 2 of your application, which is more detailed and may even involve a presentation. If you're requesting a smaller sum, you will usually just go through a one-stage application process. Read the funder guidelines carefully to clarify what they will fund. For example, will they allow you to seek funding for full cost recovery? This means getting funding for the total costs of running your project, including overheads, such as staff costs, heating and rent. There's a link to more guidance on full cost recovery in the links at the end of the transcript. Will the grant give you all the money that you need? If not, can you explain how you can realistically secure the balance needed within the timescales permitted? Funders usually specify a timescale for spending funds, and most will not fund retrospectively, by which I mean activities that have already taken place or items already purchased. Think about whether your budget is realistic. Funders know what things cost, and putting in the lowest possible cost may lead to concerns about your ability to deliver. Conversely, putting in high costs that don't reflect value for money may also count against you. Funders are also likely to ask you about how you'll sustain your project or activities when their support comes to an end. It may be that their funding will help build your capacity to raise funds in other ways, or that you intend to apply for further grants so that the gains made are not lost. Finally, make sure your budget adds up correctly. This is a common mistake and one that will make a funder question your ability to manage their funds effectively. Grant funding is one way you can seek to raise funds, and you probably also raise money in other ways, such as through donations or running fundraising events. It can be helpful to incorporate grant applications into a wider plan, reflecting timescales and resources you'll need to allocate. Funders operate different timescales with different deadlines and lead times. Having identified which funders you want to apply to, you need to factor all of these differences in. We've shown here an extract from a simple fundraising plan, which would help you map out your approach to raising funds. You can see that it takes into account how long funders take to make decisions and the resources and costs involved. You can also add in key operational dates for your organisation, for example, when you might be especially busy or when cash flow might be a particular concern. Most funders will require you to demonstrate the difference their funding has made by monitoring and evaluating your project or activities. For example, if your project is set up to reduce loneliness, how can you reflect this? Funders will sometimes specify the sorts of proofs they require. Some will expect you to put in place a way of measuring the difference made. They may want to know numbers attending events, or they may want to read case studies sharing the impact. It is common for funders to ask you at the application stage to explain how you will evaluate your project. Usually, the more money you ask for, the greater level of monitoring and evaluation required. There are links in the guidance to offer more information on monitoring and evaluation. To sum up, you need to get the basics in place and develop a plan around fundraising. Create a case for support which includes sharing the evidence of need. Do your research and make sure you know what funders are looking for and whether they are a good fit for you. Think about how you'll demonstrate the difference your work makes to the people you were set up to help. Look for ways to convey your vision, be positive and persuasive, and use your stories. Be resilient. There is a lot of competition for grants, and you are very unlikely to be successful every time. But ask for feedback where available on any failed bids and take the opportunity to learn and develop your skills. Look for guidance and support. Support Cambridgeshire can help. We have lots of resources and networks you can tap into, so get in touch.